Comics. Comics.
You are listening to Around Comics, episode 435. I'm live from New York Comic Con. It's New York Comic Con week. I'm here outside of the New York Comic Con. Unfortunately, my press passes got canceled or something. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not.
You went without me.
I went.
I went without me.
I did. I had to go. I just, it is New York Comic Con weekend though. It's already started like today. They start cons.
Announcements.
Cons start on Thursdays or Wednesdays. I think they start now. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
It's like the NFL. It's every day.
Every day is a con day.
I went to a Comic Con. I went to a comic convention.
A comic like
2 weeks
hotel
ago.
Convention or like a
garage. It was at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds.
Oh, okay.
It was Wisconsin Comic Con
next to the cow and pig.
It would be where livestock would be in the summer.
Lovely.
Yeah, Hall B at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds.
They
do.
Yeah. I think Motor City Comic Con does DuPage County Fairgrounds every year. I think they do. I've gone to it a couple of times. It's it's a nice, fun little show.
There were like 10 creators there. Rich Kozlowski was one of them.
Well, he's a Wisconsin guy, isn't he?
He lives in Menominee Falls, and so The King is one of the books that I tend to like give away to people because I think it's a good gateway drug comic for a lot of folks. You get an Elvis fan, and you give them The King, and it's awesome. It's an awesome comic, and I told Rich that I walked up to him. It's like, Mr. Kozlowski, and he looked at me for a second, and I was just like, oh yeah, Chris from Windy City Comic Con. He's like, oh my god. And so we went into all of that, and then I was just like, yeah, I buy The King every time I see you because I always give it away. And he's like, don't give this one away because I have 8 copies left.
Oh wow.
That is apparently the supply.
Well, I mean, that was good Lord, that was a long time ago when I remember
2005 or something.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think the book that I found him in was Three Fingers. Somebody had recommended Three Fingers,
which is awesome. And then he did The King, but that was years ago. Yeah, so that's funny. He's got I have my copy somewhere around here. I don't know where. Keep hold of it.
Yeah, I can't get. There's no more. You're not getting any more.
He's got it was like, okay, I thought about buying 2, but and they were half off. I should have bought 2. He's got a new book coming out from Top Shelf. It's a baseball book. I don't remember the name of it, but go to Top Shelf Comics and look up Rich Kozlowski's work, which is always good, and I'm thrilled that he's got a new book coming out.
Very nice, very nice. It's funny you mentioned him. For some reason I was just thinking about him, and I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, something came up.
It's kismet.
Yeah, it's serendipitous. I don't know why. I can't remember what it was, but there was something.
He's a great cartoonist, man.
That came up, and for some reason I was like, oh yeah, Three Fingers and The King, and for the longest time I think I had the copy of The King in my bathroom, and I wish I felt
show the tattoo, by the way. You got to show the tattoo.
I gotta.
So it is BCT, which stands for Brian, Chris, and Tom.
No, it's TCB. Taking care of business, baby.
No, it's Brian, Chris, and Tom.
Well, it can be either way. However you want to interpret.
You told me it was about Around Comics.
Well, it's a little bit of both, but I did get it in Memphis at the tattoo parlor owned by the bassist from Lucero. Bluff City Tattoo, which is an awesome little tattoo parlor. But I went to Memphis and went to Sun Records, and then I've always been a Johnny Cash and an Elvis fan, and the $1 Million Quartet, just that whole thing, and Sun Records, and so I had to go and visit, and then held Johnny Cash's guitar and Elvis's microphone and all that cool stuff. But then right around the corner is Bluff City Tattoo, and so I went in there and got a little tattoo of the King, man, a little TCB. But yes, it does. It is TCB. It is funny how it is TCB. Tom, Chris, Brian.
It is. We're taking care of business.
Taking care of business, baby. That's right.
You know who else is a huge Lucero fan? Actually, randomly sent me a text about that yesterday.
Who's that?
Zach Crucy.
Oh, there. That makes sense. Yeah.
He's a huge. He's actually a big Ben Nichols fan. Ben Nichols is the lead singer and probably primary songwriter for Lucero. He did a solo album based on Blood Meridian, which Zach is a big fan of. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. Zach seems to like anything that is sort of dense.
Yeah, of course he's a McCarthy fan, right?
Yeah. It's just like I don't know. Yeah, he likes anything like hard to get through.
Yeah, if you can take out a chisel and hammer and try and get through bedrock to have some sort of payoff, that is Zach's literary. Yeah.
Goal. Well, the funny thing with the Lucero thing, I had no idea who Lucero was. They're a little bit.
I remember you called me and you're like, yeah, I got a tattoo
I knew
here. I figured, and I told him, so I got a buddy. I know he knows you.
Yeah, it's exactly what I told him. Because it was funny because I'm sitting there in the tattoo parlor and I'm waiting for the tattoo artist to finish this lady's tattoo, and there's this guy that's just hanging out there, and he's this big bald dude with just covered in tattoo
and lamb chops.
Right? Interesting guy, and we start talking. Real nice guy, and turns out he's part owner of the tattoo parlor, but he's not a tattoo artist. And I'm like, what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm a musician. I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking, oh, it's Memphis. He plays locally in Memphis. He's like, oh, no, I've toured all over my band. But and then he told me the name of the band. I'm like, I don't know your band. I'm sorry, but it sounds like a band my buddy would fucking love. I just know. I just knew that it was your type of band. I could just fucking tell. And it was a fun experience getting to know the guy. But
and there's actually comic book tie-ins to this.
To Lucero?
Oh, absolutely. They 1372 Overton Park is a record that they did, and it has a song on it called Maggie and the Mechanics.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So Ben Nichols is a big Love and Rockets fan, and they actually had a Love and Rockets song on one of their records.
Speaking of Love and Rockets, I just saw that Jamie Hernandez posted Jaime, sorry.
God, come on.
Jamie, it's Jamie.
Appropriate much?
Fuck off. He posted that there's a documentary, Love and Rockets documentary on PBS that just came out.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I just saw the post today on Twitter. Yeah, so interestingly enough, another serendipitous moment. Yeah, Love and Rockets season 13. I don't know what that. Wait a minute. What? Season 13, episode 1. Artbound, Love and Rockets. Okay. So it's the show is called Artbound. Season 13, episode 1 is about Love and Rockets. So it looks like an hour long
nice.
Show on PBS, and there's some extras there about Love and Rockets. So there you go. Yeah,
I will devour all of it. Yeah. Because they're all awesome. All of the Hernandez brothers are fantastic.
Speaking of Zach Crucy, we were supposed to have on today a guest. Our buddy Braxton Harrison was going to join us.
He got Ian'd. He
got bumped. We had to bump him.
No, he got Ian'd. Right?
I suppose so. Yeah. He lost power. So
because Hurricane Ian.
I don't know if it was Hurricane Ian or not. But he was having trees taken down in his, like, the village.
Oh, it's a stupid reason.
Yeah, it wasn't
I was
like
trying
a
to give him
disaster.
covered by a hurricane, man.
No. It wasn't a natural disaster. I was wondering. I'm like, who the fuck is Ian? I just kind of
the hurricane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
my parents who live in Fort Myers are fine, by the way. Thanks for asking.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know they lived in Florida. My wife, who is in Orlando, is great. Thanks for asking.
I didn't.
How would I you didn't know?
How
Wait,
would I
you
know
didn't know
she's in
my
Orlando?
wife was in Florida?
How would I know? My parents live in Florida. How would I know that? How would I know that your wife is in Orlando?
They never invited me down, the bastards. So
all you got to do is ask Sal.
My uncle, who lives in Tampa, died.
Now
he 2 days ago. Yesterday, actually, he died
because of the hurricane.
No, he died of other causes. But I just thought it was kind of crazy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. But yeah, it was. Anyway, speaking of Braxton,
it's because Nick. It's because he doesn't read comics.
No, I hate comic books, Nick. Comic books are dumb. I wish we would stop talking about them.
The comments section.
The comments. Yeah,
Nick asked, like, why don't you have comics behind you?
My comics are to the side of me. They're in peripheral view. Not. Yeah. I'm not an egomaniac where I need to show my comic book collection.
Do you need me to change the camera angle?
No.
I can change the angle.
I have comics here. I have shelves that I had to build to hold all my comics.
By the way, Nick, Sal still loves comics, and I know this because he read Gotham Year One.
I did, but there was a selfish reason behind it. Because I told Tom King to write me into it as a corrupt police officer, and I didn't think he would, but I wanted to see if he would, and he didn't. At least not issue 1, the bastard. Everything we've done. Yeah.
Everything we've done for you, King.
Everything we've done for you, King. We
did kind of start Phil Hester's career as well.
Phil, yeah, that is the book. I mean, it's Phil and Tom King.
I love it. I love Andy. I love Andy Parks.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Oh my God! Phil looked better than this. It is so good.
It had a Mignola. It had a Mignola.
Like, it's so good, right? And I think a lot of it.
Andy's been holding Phil down for decades. We didn't know it.
No, man. I think a lot of it's Jordi Belair. I thought the coloring on this book was fucking sublime.
Sublime. Nick, I have Alex Ross Fantastic Four, but no, I haven't. It's really colorful and like it's kind of annoying looking. I don't know. I haven't gotten.
I like it. I enjoyed it.
I don't really read much. I like movies. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to.
The Fantastic Four full circle is nice. Let's talk about Gotham Year One.
Let's talk about
It's actually Gotham City Year One.
Since Tom's not here,
he's coming. He said he was coming.
He said he was. Yeah, Gotham City, Year One, Tom King, Phil Hester. It's like the 1960s Gotham. It's supposed to be pre-Batman.
Yeah, I mean, but it even has like an earlier feel than it feels 1940s, doesn't it?
Almost like I would say, yeah, very noir. I mean, it's a private detective story. It's Sam Bradley, the character Slam Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a Batman story. It's a Slam Bradley story.
Well, for now, I mean, it may be, that may change, but yeah, it's a straight up detective noir story, which is
so good.
Yeah, excellent. And it's supposed to sort of tell us a different origin of Batman. And it's sort of like things that happened before Batman ever came around. I will say, going back to the art, what we were talking about, there was a page in it when I saw it. I was like, I should call Phil and see how much he will sell that page to me for. And because it really was,
there's a couple of them in here
there was a couple, but there was one in particular that I got to, and I was just like, oh, and I'm sure it's already sold or somebody's already bought it, but yeah, it looks phenomenal. It's as good as you said. It's as good. The inker on it, who is not
Andy, and Andy's okay with that.
Andy's doing other things.
And Andy's a professional writer now.
He's a fucking writer now. Goddamn.
Eric Gapster.
What is it with artists wanting to be writers? Like, it's not good enough that you're a.
He was just
artist?
tired of people calling him a tracer.
Eric Gapster.
Yes.
Gapstur. I don't know how it's Gapstur.
You know what we need to do? We need to call Phil and have him on.
Sure,
we could talk to Phil.
Well, he's sure. But it's a very it fits Phil's art style very well.
So
it has an inkiness to it. It has a black and it works for the story very well too, because it has a very black and white noir, almost
it works like Darwin Cook works in this era, because it's just like that beautiful economy of line and use of light and dark. It's Phil was kind of made to draw noir stories, right?
Yeah, and he's kind of been stuck drawing superhero stories, unfortunately, for so long. It's
but he's good at that too.
No, he is, but it's like this, especially at this point in his career, I think it works so well for him. Now I kind of want to see him work with Ed Brubaker on more stuff, because didn't he work with Ed on something Batman, or did he do Batman with Ed or something?
Maybe. I mean, Phil has been he's done everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've once again, serendipitous. I was just going through some of my old sketchbooks from conventions, and I ran across the infamous Phil Hester bathroom sketch.
The bathroom sketch,
the greatest con sketch of all time. So once again, little serendipity in things coming back around. I think it's
well, I mean, Phil's the kind of like the comics junkie that is so perfect, because he isn't just one of the best artists working in comics. He's also a really good comic writer. He's
probably a serial killer. He's probably got dark secret, something horrible about him. He can't be that nice of a guy.
Well, there was a pact.
He kicked dogs. I heard he kicks dogs. When people aren't looking, and old people.
I'm sure. He always struck me as a very unkind person every time we talked to him.
Yeah.
But but the thing about Phil is that Phil's a great writer as well, and he sees like talent out there, and he's like, hey, you're a really good artist, and let's do something together. He's done that with multiple artists that have kind of had their launching point for him. One of my favorite con memories was I just randomly was walking by, saw Phil and Andy, and came behind the table and was just joking around with them, and a kid came up. I say kid, probably like a 19 or 20-year-old art student comes up. He was a student at the Kubert School, and that's hard to say.
Kubert.
And Phil did a portfolio review, and I was able to kind of like hang out in the background and see Phil kind of critique and go through this kid's portfolio. And it was amazing, because he was constructively critical and talked about what the young man needed to work on, but he was like totally like uplifting and reassuring the entire time. He was like, yeah, it's like, you have great instructors. They're going to teach you, about this, but this is something you need to work on and do this, but this looks really great. He was like the best critique and review you could ever ask for. It was like, people talk like historically about like Toth. He didn't like fillet the kid open, and it was great.
Like Neil Adams or Toth.
Toth
was sort of like famously he would just barbecue artists and just completely murder them through, and he seemed to love to do it. I remember Nick mentioned Michael Avon Oeming.
Stop throwing your Puramat to Bruce Timm down.
But he said he offered at one point when I was talking to him at one time, he's like, oh, you should write Alex Toth. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'll give you his address, just write him, he'll write you back. He's happy to do it. He'll be brutal. I mean, he's not gonna hold back. But if you send him stuff, he'll reply, and he will fucking and I never did, and I really wish I would have, I mean, I'm sure he would have destroyed anything I would have sent him, because my stuff is garbage, but just to have a letter from Alex Toth at this point,
right? A handwritten letter of Alex Toth destroying your art.
Yeah.
Nick, yes, we're going to talk She-Hulk. Calm down.
She-Hulk.
It's happening. Yeah, I was actually looking through my Toth books the other day. Those are great art books. It's a great series.
He's terrific.
Well,
but then back to Gotham Year One, Gotham City
yes.
Year One. I just wanted to kind of give a brief. So it's a story about the kidnapping of Helen Wayne, who is the sister of Thomas Wayne. So that's how far back we are.
Yeah, it's Gotham City Year One.
Yeah, and we're dealing with Bruce's grandparents.
Yeah,
trying to figure out who are still rich and famous, and the mother looks very much like Jackie O.
For sure.
Speaking of, did anyone happen to watch Blonde?
I've not yet. I'm just fascinated because that is the lead actress from the Knives,
Knives Out.
Knives Out. It's Marta.
Yeah.
It's Marta.
Yeah, she's Marta
my wife's
from. She plays Marilyn Monroe in Blonde.
If you follow Richard Starkings on Twitter or Facebook, he's pretty enamored with her.
Anna Diana, something like that. She's a very lovely looking lady.
Yes.
But she's excellent in this. I know it's a very controversial movie, but I think it's.
Did you like it?
I think it's my favorite movie of the year. I think it's the best film that I've seen. I think it's the best film that I've seen all year. And people are completely torn it apart. And I can understand to some degree why. Like, it is not a this isn't like your classic biopic. This isn't like a feel good kind of thing. This is it's based on a book by a woman, I can't think of her name. Oates.
Carol Joyce Oates.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, she's
won a Pulitzer Prize. Yeah, she's a.
I mean, she wrote the team. Is she Team of Rivals? I'm probably. If I'm wrong on that, people are gonna slay me.
But it's based on her book, which is a fictional account of Marilyn Monroe's life. It's fictionalized.
Oh, that's Doris Kearns Goodwin. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
Sorry, my bad.
But I don't want to get into it too much, but because there was not. But I think it is my favorite movie of the year. It's easily the most interesting film that I've watched all year. Yeah, this is
shocking.
And I had no interest in watching it until a friend of mine told me that there was like a bunch of controversy about it. Because people are very upset that they didn't.
You are a moth to the flame.
Yeah,
controversial
absolutely.
Friend.
Yeah, and but no, I think it's the best. Well, it is certainly the most interesting film that I've watched all year.
Is it a good film?
To me, it's an extremely well done film. It's extremely artistic film. But it is. My wife would not watch this movie. She would have no interest in this film. I can see why a lot of people would not be interested in it, because it's very artistic. It's very odd. It's not a straightforward film. It's not like, you're not watching Ray. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like this sort of like feel good story about Marilyn Monroe.
It's not a straight up biopic.
No, not at all. It's a very odd film. It's very weird. It's paced weird. Nice. But it's also, I think, like magnificently done. It's brilliant. And I've been thinking about it since I watched it like 4 days ago. Like,
God damn you, because I was like, okay, everything I had heard is like, this movie is a train wreck.
People are idiots and don't understand like the difference. Like, people can't accept like metaphor in a movie about someone's life. Like, people don't. People are morons. But once again, I understand. Like, this isn't a movie for like everyone. It wasn't made to be like a mainstream film. It's a weird movie. It's a very artsy kind of movie, but it's also like, it's a movie that like people don't make this kind of movie anymore.
Okay.
Like, we don't get this type of movie.
I'm in.
I thought it was really interesting.
I made a huge entertainment mistake earlier this year. Huge. I watched 2 episodes of a show that I knew was pretty good, and then I stopped watching it. And
Welcome to Wrexham?
No, which I enjoy. And there's the last Welcome to Wrexham episode is really good. I really like the one about the hooligans. Very interesting. I didn't know that much about hooliganism. I've been binge watching Reservation Dogs.
Oh yeah, great show. Great show.
No, not great. Like fucking like here, like
well,
top level.
The first season is phenomenal. Yeah. The second season, I don't think is as good. It's still good. But I don't think it's as good. It's a little it meanders quite a bit in the second season.
But that's kind of the beauty of it, is that it does meander. I just watched the big episode. This is where the plot thickens, where he accidentally trips on LSD.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Between Big and the ghost Indian guy, the spirit,
the spirit guy.
Oh,
the
he's so
guy's
great.
Amazing.
He's so fantastic.
Right.
Just hilarious. and yeah.
I got a new client on the other side of town.
It's an amazingly done show. I mean, it's super well written and well acted.
Yeah.
And it's a great show.
I described it as good Watiti.
It's good Watiti. Yeah, it's good
Watiti. Right.
Yeah, no, Joe Galuzik. It's not Eraserhead. I believe it's not. No, Blonde is not quite that out there. It has. I mean, it has a story you can follow and make sense. It's just the way it's not. It's not like I said. It's not Ray. You're not watching Walk the Line, or what I mean. Like you're not. It's just you're not. It's not a straight picture. It's
the Doors.
It's artsy.
Name. Yeah.
And I get it. It's not going to be for everybody. Like, not everybody's going to like this film. But there was a lot of controversy about it because of the way that they treated Marilyn Monroe and how they fictionalized it. But it's like, this isn't a story. This isn't Marilyn Monroe's story. It's a metaphor about like fame and America, and that's why it's interesting as a film. But I could see like people that are big fans of Marilyn Monroe would be kind of pissy about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's Tom.
It's our special guest. It's our special guest.
Don't have
kids.
Don't have kids.
Now I can finally put this up. We've been naked.
Tom, you missed so much. We talked about Gotham City Year One, which we agree is pretty dope. We were talking about Reservation Dogs. We were talking about Blonde, which Sal has already declared his picture of the year.
Yeah, well, Tom's gone. He left. He heard that and he's gone. He's very upset.
No, I'm here.
Hurricane Ian.
I'm here.
Is it Hurricane Ian?
In suburban Chicago.
Give me 1 second.
In Oak
boy,
Park.
Tom's having troubles.
But
She-Hulk. We didn't talk about She-Hulk. Which, first of all, I want to say, if you're watching She-Hulk and like you claim to be a She-Hulk fan and you don't like this show,
you've never read She-Hulk.
Yeah, you're a liar. You've
never read She-Hulk.
Like, it's I was never.
Yeah.
It's the perfect combination to me of a superhero movie and Ally McBeal. Like it is, and I don't.
Oh my god, you just fucking nailed it.
It is a great. Not only is it a fun superhero story set in the Marvel universe, but it's really a extremely well done, like woman's
like quippy romantic
comedy sitcom, like very funny and entertaining. And I was all in for Matt Murdock. When I saw Daredevil and Matt Murdock pop on the screen this week, I was just giddy like a child to see him play Daredevil again.
I was more giddy about Porcupine.
Did you see Leapfrog? Did you see? Have you watched yesterday or wait?
No, I haven't watched this week's.
Oh God, I'm sorry, I'm spoiling it for you. My bad.
No, I knew Daredevil was coming.
Yeah.
So is today Thursday?
Today is Thursday.
I have not watched this week's.
Yeah.
I just watched last week's. So I'm just up to like my Porcupine love.
Oh, that was a great episode too. But it's a great.
We need to pause and we'll go watch it and come back.
It's a super fun, entertaining show. And the guy who plays the guy who makes her costume,
he's great.
He was in The Flight Attendant. And I will declare him my favorite gay actor of all time, I think. Other than Rock Hudson.
More than Rock Hudson?
Other than Rock Hudson.
Okay.
No, he's awesome. He's great actor, and I really like watching him. He's really funny. And he's great in The Flight Attendant.
Such a bold declaration.
I'm full of them tonight, Tom. I'm full of bold declarations.
It's just like, yes.
People are tired of me and Tom, or tired of me and Sal talking. Tom, how are you?
I have kids. They don't respect my schedule. They freak out. I'm great. I've just been reading Akira, and
is that a new Bucks hat? Is that a new Bucks hat?
No, it's not. It's a hat that says "More parks, less parking."
Oh,
you
very 1960s of you.
You fucking hippie. Fucking hippies.
I got this as a gift, and it's a nice hat. It's like a high quality, quite comfortable hat.
Nice. I'm gonna go grab my Akira Volume 1, and so go for it, Tom.
Yeah, so I've just been reading that, and I finally finished Doom Patrol after like a year of like
waiting.
I was on a just like with having little kids, I can't watch anything. I'm so exhausted. Like I like Reservation Dogs because it's like part of why I choose things to watch is based on how long the episodes are, because I'm like realistic about like. If it's 10 o'clock, it's like, I'm gonna be honest, like a 50-minute episode of Doom Patrol, I'm going to fall asleep. It's just like a question of like, it doesn't matter if I like it or not. That's not the criteria. That's not the reason I'm falling asleep. I'm just like a tired dad of little kids, and so I really enjoy Reservation Dogs because I know like it is of a length of time that I'm like, I can watch this whole thing without falling asleep.
Who's your favorite character on Reservation Dogs?
I'm not ready to make that choice yet.
I'm holding a gun to your head. Who is your favorite character?
I don't do this. No, I'm not doing this.
But can we agree? Can we agree that we should all be cheese?
Not gonna do it.
We need to all be cheese.
I'm not gonna let you talk me into
answering.
Answer
the question, Tom.
I'm not going to. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I'm a Willie Jack man.
What ever since you brought up the fact that you sort of fall asleep to old episodes of Star Trek Next Generation, I kept thinking like, I need a show that I can put on at night that's not too long, that I can watch to the end and then fall like right asleep. Like maybe I missed the last couple minutes.
But it's like whatever. It doesn't matter.
And I finally found it.
What is that?
The Larry Sanders Show, which I love. I've watched it. I've watched all 6.
Yeah, so then it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
if you miss the end, you're just
exactly.
Like, okay.
I've seen them all multiple times, and I love the show. But if I fall asleep during it, I'm okay. But most of the time, I'm able to stay up because it's so funny still, and yet it's only like 30 minutes, so which is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you're watching like Doom Patrol and you fall asleep, it's like, oh, I have to go back and watch like the last 10 minutes, or like or the worst part is when you're spending as much time like, when exactly did I fall asleep in this episode? Like,
well, I'm not in and out of it.
Yeah, and it's like, my cat. I just had to switch cameras, but it's always like, wait, did I see this part, or did I wake up?
Did I dream this part?
That is a Game of Thrones or Rings of Power problem I have, and also sometimes Rings of Power crossing with the House of the Dragon, where I'm starting to get plot lines like mixing up.
I mean, I'm sure someone's done the game where they just ask normal people what show pictures are from, and no one can guess between the two of them. It's just like people. Is this from?
One has dragons. One doesn't.
They both have dragons.
It's got Doctor Who.
Was there dragons?
In that one?
There'll be dragons.
Wait, Doctor Who's not an elf? That's weird. What? I don't understand. So what brought on wanting to read? Is this the first time you've ever read Akira? Or
It's the first time I've read the manga. Like at some point maybe I had like read a piece of it or whatever, and like I was just perusing my local library's shelves when I brought my son to the library, and they have a big manga, graphic novels, comic section. I was like, oh, I've never actually read this, so I picked it up, and so I'm just about through that first book, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, it always takes me a little bit when I read manga. I always have that thing where like at first I'm just like, what's happening? I don't understand, because the style of storytelling is so like kinetic.
Yeah.
It's so like dynamic, like
there's always a lot of emotions.
Yeah, and it's like I gotta reset my brain to like calibrate to like, okay, this is like what, because at first I'm always like, I don't know if I like this, and then once like I slowly like get into it and that's stuff's not like throwing me anymore, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, yeah, this futuristic Tokyo looks like sick as hell, and like everyone's a bad guy, and I don't know, like, are there any good guys? And but it still looks like manga, so it has like the people like like it's such like
a lot of action lines.
Oh my god, yeah, tremendous action lines, some cool fight scenes, and just like creepy kids that look like old people. It's
awesome,
just like,
awesome motorcycles.
Yes, it's just like such a crazy mix of things, like all kind of jammed together in an interesting way, and like the story's super kinetic and everything moves real fast, but at the same time it's really drawn out, in a way, like the story takes place over like a bunch of
and there's like
so it's
big,
like
there's like big gaps too, like in time, right?
That's right,
yeah, which is interesting.
It's an epic story.
Did you ever read? Speaking of
goddamn story,
it was literally an epic comic book. It came out in Epic Comics, the English version.
Oh, that's right.
The color.
Did they colorize it?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. Relatively well done, colorized version, I think. But it was that. I remember the epic. I think that was my first introduction to it. Was that
it's hard because it's manga and story flow goes the other way, and so when it gets put into an American edition, it's sometimes the panels don't work like they should. But that's reading Japanese comics.
Yeah, I don't remember because they did all English.
All English, and they flip the order of the pages.
Which is really weird to think about English, now,
right? Yeah. Well, it's like Lone Wolf and Cub kind of does the same thing, right? Even though those page layouts are more simple than this, so you don't notice it as much. Mm-hmm. But so Tom, we both, I'm going through it. I bought that big giant hardcover 35th anniversary set, which presents it as manga with an English translation. So you are reading back to front. How do you feel like it moves and the flow of the comic?
Oh, I mean, like most of my initial discomfort's just from like not being used to manga style action, and sort of like the way the story is told is very like foot on the gas. Like, we're not gonna like to its credit, I think that's actually pretty fun to like not have everything explained.
It feels kind of Silver Age, right?
I mean, a little bit, but it also has like it has like a very 80s dystopia, like the Japanese version of that, of like this future that's messed up and everything kind of sucks. And like even like the heroes kind of aren't like that heroic. And like it takes a while to like sort of like pull at the threads of what's actually happening for a book that feels like the foot is on the gas the whole time. You're like also like, actually I kind of don't know totally what's happening. What's happening. I haven't gotten, there's not big explanatory panels like in a superhero comic that's like laying out the action. And it's not like a bunch of like, the way I'm going to tell this story is like, we're doing the thoughts of the person. So you're like, got 8 million like thought boxes like laid out. Like it's told in such a different way from that.
Yeah, but amazingly, it is able to world build almost through the art more than through the exposition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get a feel for Neo Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a look to it, and like there's always something happening, right? So like there's a motorcycle chase, and then there's a fight, and then there's the reveal of a creepy kid that looks like an old man, and then there's like a bunch of other kids that look like old people, and like, but there's always just like a little breadcrumb, like some weird thing to drop in that's like, oh, okay, like what is this about, and it's and they just drop it in enough for you to keep following along, as opposed to like giving you it's not like an elevator pitch for a movie.
No.
It's not like the 2-sentence like this is what this story is. It's like Daredevil, but if he was Superman, like the sort of
but it's still a serial where they are like teasing you to go on to the next volume, right?
Yeah, but it's just like it's just very different in a cool way. I've been very into like I'm gonna grab the next volume because I'm flying through it.
So a little Wikipedia history on the book. So Archie Goodwin actually is who approached Katsuhiro Otomo after he saw the anime.
Was Archie he was the EIC of Epic, right?
At that time, probably. But he was
right.
Yeah. And he wanted, after he saw the anime, the movie of Akira, he wanted to publish it in America.
Oh, that's interesting.
I guess Otomo had been offered from various companies to publish it in English, and he chose Archie because Archie was close friends with some French artists that Otomo really liked. So that was, but then.
Yeah. So because I mean, like historically, not to deviate too much, Archie Goodwin. I mean, we've talked to a lot of like old school comic book creators, and if you ask them like who their favorite person to work with was, it's almost universally Archie Goodwin.
Archie, yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone has ever said anything bad about Archie Goodwin.
So the coloring was done by a gentleman named what was his name? Shit, I lost. Steve Oliff, who was an artist. Steve Oliff, and he was handpicked by Otomo, and he actually worked alongside him for about a week. Otomo would give him like colored version samples he did in marker.
Nice.
And then after about 5 or 6 issues, he was like, he's good. He'll just do the rest. And so the coloring was approved by the original, creator of the book and everything. So yeah, it is really well colored. I mean, it's not like a hack job of color. It was done with care. I mean, I think everyone involved, Archie and everyone else, did it with reverence.
That's amazing. And if you think back, it was like 1980s, right? And
88,
80s. And so, I mean,
I'm sorry, 83.
Yeah, comic books are very much an American invention, right? but for them to have that reverence for a Japanese comics creator kind of shows you the love of the medium, which is, it's cool that they would be like, no, this needs to be handled with care because this is a great comic creation, right?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, at that same time, it's like you said, Lone Wolf and Cub. That was something Frank Miller sort of pushed to have. I think he made that happen, and you had a lot of influence by Japanese manga at that time.
It was kind of an awakening of Japanese comics in the U.S. in that early mid 80s.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was the film Akira that did it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
I watched that a couple of years ago, and it's like,
it's still good.
Well, it's still good, but I mean, artistically, like the animation is still unbelievable. Like it holds up incredibly well. It still looks amazing.
All the designs of like the motorcycles and
the
like
character design.
It's just like very modern. Like somehow one of those things that like no matter how much time passes, it's still like, yeah, that looks cool. That looks like the future. Like,
right.
Somehow,
it's still influential. I think you still, you look at films that are, sort of set in the future. It's like I think it's still an influential between that and like Jodorowsky and that. It's like,
but I mean, I know you don't love it, Blade Runner.
It's not that. Listen,
you have talked about. I understand it's not a great film, but it's certainly influential in its look and feel and atmosphere. So that's fine. That's all we have to say about it.
Okay.
It's fine. We can go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it is a weird movie. But I think
oh, Tom, you had to bring it back.
Benefited from being on like cable, where a bunch of people were able to watch it when they were kids before they were like, actually, this movie kind of doesn't make like
any sense.
A ton of sense. And it's like, and you could just lean into like, oh yeah, like this looks cool as hell.
Right? That's okay. We just described a lot of Japanese comics.
Like, this looks cool.
Oh,
like, I'm into this.
Manga Mania in the early 90s.
Was it just the early 90s? I feel like it was going on until like, 10 years ago.
Well, I think it began in the early 90s. I didn't say it was just in the early 90s.
Yeah. What? I mean, you're watching Roseanne on ABC and the boyfriend is and daughter are big manga fans, right?
That's not the pull I would have thought of, but yeah, okay.
Wow, I was like, where?
Yeah, we're going with this. Roseanne reference.
You wanted me to imagine, imagine you're watching Roseanne.
You're sitting on your lazy boy.
Roseanne.
You just cracked. You're sitting on your lazy boy. You just cracked a bush light. You're watching Roseanne and smoking in the house.
Hear me out here. That was the first time in like popular culture that I was aware that manga and anime was like a part of the zeitgeist, is when it shows up on Roseanne. With Galecki, who would end up going on to be in Big Bang Theory, right?
Wow.
Famous nerd.
I don't remember that being about...
Oh, he and Darlene... No, he and Darlene were huge manga fans. They would go... There were several episodes where they would go to Chicago to manga and anime conventions.
I think I might have tuned out of Roseanne at that point. Was that the Tom Arnold years?
Yes, they were the Tom Arnold.
I think I might have moved on from Roseanne at that point.
Yeah.
But you're watching Roseanne. Yeah. You're in your living room. You're tired. Imagine there's a commercial break.
You just got a new 6-pack of Zimas.
You guys go ahead.
1991.
I'll be over
You just dropped a Jolly Rancher into your Zima. You're waiting for the flavor to make.
A Jolly Rancher.
You're horrible, and I hate
as
both.
long as we're speaking about Asian art, can we take a moment to note the passing of Kim Jong-gi, the amazing, brilliant fucking unbelievable, frustratingly brilliant artist that passed away at 47 years old from a heart attack. He was on his way to New York Comic Con and had a heart attack in the airport and died. But I've never seen anything like him. I don't know that the illustration world has ever seen anything quite like him. His ability to create purely from his imagination and from, he had this library of reference in his head where he could just sit without any reference and draw complete scenes of dozens and dozens of characters and things. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anyone, when I first saw him, and I think a lot of people had the same reaction, when I first saw videos of him working live, I thought it was a trick. I thought it was some sort of he had done some sort of trickery because it didn't seem real, what he was able to do. But it's really sad. I mean, it's tragic that
if you're on Facebook, look up the Greg Titus kind of memorial to him, and that explains it in a way that I think a lot of artists thought about this guy. And it was kind of he was so good. It bordered between making you inspired or making you want to quit.
Yeah, I mean, you just watched the guy and it was just what the fuck? How is someone able to do this? How is it even possible that your brain works that way? And not only is he's a phenomenal artist, illustrator, but to be able to just do it at will, you know what I mean? It was effortless for him.
It just flows forth,
I don't know that I've ever seen illustration that genius of it, that much of a genius of an illustrator. I feel like if he would have been born 50 years ago, he would have been like a Picasso. You know what I mean? He would have been
Frazetta.
Yeah, right? He's just absolutely genius. I don't know how else to explain him. He's just a genius talent. But unfortunately, I'm 47 years old. Fuck, that's way too young.
Right?
Yeah.
Now that I brought the show down.
All right. Got to bring it back up.
So I was saying that I finished watching Doom Patrol on an airplane. Watched the last 3 episodes while flying to Los Angeles. It was great. I finally caught up. There's some of the best episodes they were in the 3rd season that I was like, I can't believe they actually did that in the comic book, Moncho Mala in the brain. And I was like, that is literally those characters.
12-year-old Tom is incredibly happy right now.
Gargoax the Destroyer. He's in there. He's an all right dude.
He's an all right dude.
Yeah. He's an all right dude. He gets to the end. He's like, I don't want to, I don't want to kill anybody. and then
I feel that way about so much that we watch now. It's just I can't believe that I'm sitting here watching this.
No.
I still have, I think, 5 episodes of the last season to watch of Doom Patrol, because I was in the same thing. I got to a point I'm like, it has to be the middle of the day for me to watch this. Otherwise, I'm just not
a little too long.
Yeah. And it's dark. Most of the episodes are kind of dark, and their pacing is a little slow at times, and
it's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, and as much as I love the characters and I've loved the show, it's just I can't do this.
I can't watch it if I'm tired at all. It's just
Pennyworth season 3 premiering on
really
HBO Max.
Have we talked about the end of season 2?
I never watched it, so I couldn't have.
It's got a lot of problems.
I never finished season 2. It was so weird.
They've got a season 3.
It's premiering on HBO Max.
What? Oh, it's on HBO Max.
Huh. Yeah.
Interesting. Where was it on before? Was it on TNT or
Epic or something like that?
It was on Epic.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Festivus about this.
The first season was terrific.
The first season was amazing. The second season went fucking bananas off the rails.
Yeah, really off the rails.
Oh, it's Jerry. I've got some bones to pick.
Yeah, I don't know why or what happened exactly why season 2 just went completely bonkers. It started to really not make any sense, and it got really campy, and it just really, I mean, the first season was like a great British
espionage show.
Espionage.
Yeah.
I mean, he was basically playing what's his name?
He was playing Michael Caine as James Bond.
He was playing a young Michael Caine, you know, and it was awesome. He was terrific. And then the second season, it like turned into this like fucking, I don't know what it was. It was like a circus.
It got weird. It's alternate Earth weirdness.
Yeah, and why I have no idea why they decided to go that route. So man, hopefully season 3 kind of brings it back. I'm hoping that it would
not hopeful. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not hopeful. I'll watch it.
It did get canceled, so maybe that woke some writers up. Maybe some writers got fired.
But it got canceled and they brought it back.
Well, it got canceled from Epix, I think, and then I don't know. Yeah, they're
okay.
Yeah. So 3 episodes now on HBO Max.
Really? Right. Okay.
There you go.
I've not seen a single episode of Pennyworth.
The first season is really
Chris.
Really good. First season is really good, man.
I just don't foresee the time where I'm gonna be like caught up on other shows and be like,
all right, Tom.
I got Star Trek: The Next Generation.
We have
74 seasons.
We have 3 minutes and 15 seconds left on this episode. I want to know your hot take on Rings of Power.
I don't know. I haven't watched this. It looks boring. So I didn't watch it. I haven't gotten to
It's delightful.
It's delightful. I'm sure it's
delightful. It's delightful.
Yeah, I see.
It's delightful.
Yeah, okay.
Sal, it's delightful, and you know it.
Delightful.
You love the last episode.
I don't know that I watched the last episode, so
watch it. It's the most action-packed one.
I trust
the last one's pretty good.
I'm like,
last one's good. Last one's good. Watch it. Are we going to talk about it?
You've watched 3 fucking seasons of that goddamn train television show that nobody likes. So your opinion on what is good or not when it comes to TV is not necessarily.
You will like it.
You know, we can't necessarily take it at face value.
I mean, what's really funny is I feel like there's a real like. I'll be on like TikTok and someone will be like posting their fan theory about like something from like that Rings show. What is it? The
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power, right? And like, I don't know. And they'll post a theory, and I'm like, you could make up things and just be. It's like the same to me. It's like Galenord forged a sword on a certain day, because it's just like.
You got to be really fucking desperate to be making up. Like, come on, man.
It's really pretty. It's really pretty.
I saw a video today that was disturbing, and I don't know why I'm thinking of it now based on that comment, but it was about it was like a I don't know, 20-something, maybe 30-year-old man, and he was standing behind a barricade with a fake WWE belt on his shoulder, waiting for The Rock. And The Rock came out of whatever amazing thing he was doing. And The Rock, came up to the guy, and this grown man, was visibly shaking, about ready to cry, because The Rock was going to sign his WWE belt. And I'm like, that's not healthy. That's not a healthy.
And then The Rock got really close with his Sharpie and said, no, I'm not going to sign it.
No.
Threw the pen down and walked away.
As we talked about before, nobody promotes better than The Rock. Nobody is better to his fans than The Rock. The Rock is awesome. Okay. And The Rock is extremely likable, and I don't blame anyone for being a fan of The Rock's, but I don't know that anyone should be that big of a fan of anything. You know what I mean?
Hey, I do have a wrestling digression here that you bring it up. Marta showed me this. Look up.
So she put you in like a figure 4 line.
She could.
Boston Crab.
No, like John Cena has John Cena is apparently now registered in the Guinness Book of World Records for granting the most Make-A-Wish Foundation
Oh
request.
yeah.
And he doesn't talk about it or anything either.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, how amazing is that? And I'm not a big wrestling fan, but wow.
I saw Ric Flair on a plane once.
did he whip his dick out at the stewardesses?
I think maybe I told this story before, but he was shorter than I thought he'd be. I was like, but I could see him walking down the.
Did he walk like? Did he walk like that?
He did
to the bathroom.
He had a specific strut to the way he was walking. That I was but it's like one of those things where like when you see famous people, it's weird because they're usually like, if you see like someone who's on a TV show, you're like, oh, this person's small but with like a giant head, and like you're like, oh, it looks weird to see you not inside a box. But when you see like Ric Flair, it's like, no, that's Ric Flair. I can tell Ric Flair from like 500 feet away.
Have you watched the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair?
Oh no,
there's a 30 for 30. Yeah, it's good, and he's in it, and he's very candid, and he's hilarious, and because he's just like they kind of do it like Jordan and The Last Dance, where like they'll show some thing and then they go to him today, and it was like, his third wife left him because she, he couldn't. And they go to him and he's like, yeah, I was going to have fun. What am I going to, he makes no fucking excuses. Yeah.
I did incredible amounts of cocaine. We were having an awesome time.
He had no excuses. Didn't even pretend. It was just like, yep. That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
Guilty as charged, Your Honor.
Yep.
Do you watch Dark Side of the Ring?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets into all, and there's an amazing Randy Macho Man Savage documentary out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is it's really good. It's really good.
Wrestlers are fascinating characters for sure. I mean, they're just, they are interesting. They're sort of athletes, but they're sort of movie stars, they're entertainers, you have to be kind of crazy to get into that field, and to be like one of the biggest in the world, I'd imagine you have to be really just kind of, maybe not so much anymore because it seems like that industry is changing a bit, but at that time, like when Ric Flair was, styling,
they were coming up through the regional, curling.
Some guy might try and fight you. Some guy might try and fight you at a bar, and you're gonna have to beat the shit out of him. Just because that's what Ric Flair would do. So you can't be like, hey, it's just a character I play.
Oh, that was what
you're gonna have to you have to beat him up. People couldn't see you wearing the same.
Well, that was the kind of
that was change the famous out of his suit.
That was the Andy Kaufman thing, right?
Which thing?
Who was the wrestler that
Jerry the King Lawler?
That was Jerry the King Lawler. Yeah,
that was Jerry Lawler. Just beat the fuck out of Andy Kaufman.
No, but that was a scam. That was
a bit.
That was a bit. That was all a bit.
Oh, that was a bit. Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing was a bit.
Yeah, it's a wrestling. It's a joke about wrestling,
man. It was all a
bit.
No, that was what Ric Flair said in the documentary. Is like,
God damn you, wrestling! You got me again.
They go to his ex-wife, and she's like, "Yeah, I just couldn't deal any longer with all of his cheating." And then they go back to him, and he's like, "Well, I wasn't gonna sleep alone." He's just like, "Okay, Rick."
It was Ric Flair.
He's Ric fucking Flair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, wrestlers are interesting. Interesting characters. They're kind of like superheroes.
Why the weird overlap with comic book fans? It's
big muscly guys in costumes. What there's not, doing heroic sort of like things that are
the villain, the hero.
It's very black and white. It's you have good guys.
Complain about it. You can complain about it and think that you could do it better.
Yeah. I don't know.
If I wrote Batman, this would happen.
Yeah,
I would never yeah.
I mean, there's a connection between like we were all growing up kids. Like, why did we read comics? Well, we probably, didn't have a lot of friends, and so we read comic books, and that was just
watch wrestling.
Yeah, watch wrestling, and I don't know. There's why we I think a lot of comic book fans probably you're looking at these muscle-bound heroes beating the crap out of bullies. Well, what's not, what I mean? Like what's not attractive to someone that maybe gets picked on or maybe gets made fun of, for things that, when you're 10 years old or something, 11 years old. So
seeing people receive their comeuppance.
Yeah. Although wrestling, what I always loved about wrestling was like the play of, the bad guys. Like did a great job of making you hate them, like the great ones, like Ric Flair. Like Rick. A lot of wrestlers consider Ric Flair the greatest wrestler of all time because he always made the other guy look good. Like he was he was who you hated. He was the heel, and he always let the other guy get over, and he always made the good guy, the baby face, look good, and that's why. And that's an ego thing that he kind of was able to, even though he projected the biggest ego in the world in his profession, he didn't work with an ego, and he did what was best for the entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
he knew where his bread was buttered. That was being a heel.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's an interesting.
I know we've talked about this before, but Rick Rude, calling all the fans in the audience a bunch of sweaty, like
hillbillies.
Just like sit down so you can see what a real man looks like. It's just funny to imagine. Just like I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna just like make all these people just hate me,
throw fucking garbage at me. It takes a certain kind of person, like to want. Like I think most people. And especially if you're in any type of like entertainment, you probably have a certain amount of insecurity, which drives you towards like wanting to be loved, wanting acceptance, wanting approval. But then you have these people that are like, no, I want him to fucking hate me. Like, what kind of a psycho are you? Like, no, I want him. I would
think that'd be more fun.
Yeah,
because it'd be really fun to just be like, oh, I can get all these people to like boo me. I mean, like I'll get up there. I'll tell,
I've often considered being the heel of the comic book podcasting world and just turning into that, because I could easily turn into that guy.
I could see that for you.
Yeah. And it would be fun, but I just don't have the time to like fight with people all day. If I was in my 20s, I would certainly. You don't
have the will to go that far in.
No, I understand. I but it's funny. The good thing is nobody pays attention to me, so I can say whatever I want, and nobody.
No one cares.
No one cares. So that's the.
I care.
I want all you podcast listeners to. I've done this before. I think I have done.
Oh, you loser nerds that listen to this podcast!
Are we gonna start selling supplements?
You losers! A bunch of losers.
Snap into a Slim Jim, Chris.
A bunch of losers listening to this, especially if you're watching us. That's even worse.
You bunch of losers on YouTube watching us. Don't you have anything better to do?
Joe Kalusic is ready to sign up for whatever muscle building proteins we're gonna sell.
You bunch of
Joe.
virgins.
Yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, sorry, you're a virgin again. That's just how it goes.
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules, guys. All right.
Sorry, nerd. That's just what it is.
I know. Mom and Dad probably put the
Joe.
It's not channel.
Listen.
No, Joe. It's not called testosterone. It's called Tom-tosterone.
Just go wipe your eyes with some fucking Bronze Age comics. I know you got them under your bed.
Individually taunted.
Right next to your stuffed animal and your blankie.
Now, all you listeners out there who figured out how to turn the parent locks off on your podcast apps, you could download one with explicit language.
See, I need Tom. Tom should be a bad guy wrestler writer. That's the, like, you just write my dialogue, Tom, and I'll turn into, just the heel of the podcasting world.
I want you to go to your mom's wallet and pull out a crisp 20.
Who did that? Didn't somebody do that? Was that Chris Jericho?
I think that did happen.
I think somebody did that. Yeah.
Nice. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening or watching.
Fogging up your CGC graded comics because you're so excited to see me. You're breathing heavy on the.
Just come in, just really Ric Flair and just bring like super expensive comics and art. Just be like, you wish you could own this, you loser. But you're not a real man.
Man.
I know this show brings immense joy to everyone. If you would like to compensate us for that, you can do so by going to patreon.com/aroundcomics.
Limp dicks.
Yeah, it's like like $5 a month. It helps us keep the lights on. We have wonderful patrons out there, and we appreciate you. We'll be coming out with some stuff. I got Tom. We got to talk. I got a music show I'm working on with another friend. It's gonna be.
When are you guys doing the sex stars that you've been talking about?
Well, you got to show me how to record on this StreamYard shit.
You log in, you hit record.
We'll really walk through it because Tom and I have to talk about sectars.
Sectars.
I got a vinyl show I'm working on.
Of course you do, you fucking nerd. I'm your fucking vinyl collection.
Hipster nerd. Yeah. So fun stuff coming up.
Yes, you show up with that $45 record you paid $20 for when it was a CD, and they're gonna suck you into getting a CD again in 10 years.
I just spent.
Why don't you go home and wipe all your LPs clean? De-dust them, you little fucking weasel.
Sal, we have a new podcast coming out in the next week or two, I think.
If we ever get together, record it, yes.
Right. Hey man, it's the end of summer, it's the beginning of school. It's curling. We started making ice this week. I was in Madison, Wisconsin, curling all weekend. Tom, that is
all I'm hearing is fucking excuses. This Madison is all you losers do is make excuses.
So talk about the new show.
The new show is Film Force 5. It's a movie podcast. It has nothing to do with comic books. It's basically we're going to fight and argue about what the top 5 movies are in any type of genre or category or director or whatever it may be. We're going to do some fun stuff with it. We're going to kind of gamify it a little bit and do a little different than what other shows do.
It's a top 5 game show.
It's a top 5 game show. You can be a part of it. We want your input on the thing. So follow Film Force 5 on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. There's a Film Force 5 website, filmforce5.com. You can go to, and it's either with the letter or the number 5 or spelled out FIVE. Either one works. But I think it's on Twitter, it's Film Force 5, and on Instagram, it's Film Force 5 Pod, I believe. So yeah, follow those, and hopefully we'll have some episodes up pretty soon. It should be fun, and it'll be talking about a lot of movies. And
as a preview, I watched Death Race 2000, and you're fucking wrong. It is not better than Rollerball in any way. That movie is terrible.
It's twice the movie. It's twice the dystopian movie.
It is not.
Rollerball's barely a fucking dystopian film. What's dystopian? There's like nothing. It's a sports movie. It's a bad sports movie.
It's not a sports movie.
Rollerball isn't even dystopian. I'm gonna. It should be kicked off the list because it's not even dystopian.
Wow, what a start!
Yeah, this is what you have to look forward to. Me
you
yelling.
Get one episode of this shit, and then I'm done.
That's the plan. I got Tom waiting in the wings.
top 5 sex stars characters.
This is only movies. This is all we're just doing.
Oh
movies.
yeah.
Oh,
Surely they made a
I'm
sex
going to be
stars
so
movie.
passionate about this one. I'm going to have to control myself because you're going to be pushing buttons. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to be part of. If this is just going to be you guys yelling at each other,
It's I'm gonna.
It's going to be a lot of
there's
that.
more.
Right?
There's got to be more to it than that. So that was a concern. We didn't want it to just.
There's just going to be a lot of arguing.
Well, there will be some arguing for sure. There will be some arguing, but there's going to be more to it than that. There's going to be some. Like I said, there's going to be a bit of a game to it to some degree. So that'll be a part of every episode. And then, yeah, we are ultimately going to try and whittle down our films to the top 5. But really, the point of the whole show is just like entertaining talk about movies. And I'm sure there'll be some arguing, but hopefully it'll be more.
It's all in good spirited fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. If we all hate each other.
Don't be so fucking sensitive, Tom, you fucking nerd.
Listen, I spent all day. I'm getting screamed at by a 6-year-old. I'm getting yelled at by a 9-year-old. I don't need this shit. Let's go to sleep. A bunch of guys yelling at each other. As long as you guys yell at each other, it's fine.
Tom, Sal and I have been yelling at each other for 16 years now.
Tom, you and I will have civilized discussions and debate.
Chris will just roll in.
Chris, on the other hand, will have outrageous, hyperbolic statements that I will have no recourse but to argue and shut down immediately.
I'm about the heart, man. I'm about the heart.
Yeah, it's all way.
You're all fucking heart. You're real heart, Niesman.
All gas, no brakes.
It all comes from here, man.
Rollerball is top 10
so good.
At best.
Oh, top 10 70s dystopian?
At best. It does not make the top 5. Neither does Death Race 2000, but
Death Race 2000 is really bad.
No, Death Race 2000 is really good. Oh, it's fantastic. It's a comedy. It's supposed to be bad.
It's a bad comedy.
No, it's terrific. It's a terrific movie.
Oh,
and much more dystopian.
I see what you're saying. You think that Rollerball takes itself way too seriously. Which I can see.
Yeah,
I can see.
And not good. It's bad, but trying to be good. Death Race 2000 isn't trying to be good.
I will.
We're mostly going to talk about the rules of Rollerball. The game, just like
itself,
trying to really dissect.
Well,
okay, wait a second. Now,
the first episode, the bonus episode is going to be sort of like a Bill James analytics discussion about rollerball strategy. We're going to go break down.
What was Jonathan the best player? Really, was he analytically?
This is our Quidditch.
We crunched the numbers.
Rollerball is the Quidditch of comic nerds, of older comic nerds. It really is. All right. Everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Check us out on all the socials and that bullshit. We appreciate it. Seriously, check us out on Patreon. We especially appreciate that. We will be back next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. In the meantime,
fuck off, nerds. In between time,
Jesus. We'll be everywhere. And
in around your mama.
Yeah, and definitely in your mom.
Oh God. This is not the NPR pledge drive I had envisioned.
In and around your mom.
Oh God, just end it. Stop. God, just end it.